Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Mod Driven. Still getting used to the new name for the channel. I mess up once in a while when I call it Rob Motive Project Cars, but it is Mod Driven. Obviously, because I'm doing mods and stuff to the car, but not today. Today we're out cruising around in the Mercedes, and this is a 2020 C-Class. It's a C300. And I thought, I've had the car for a while, put a few miles on it, not tons. It just flipped over 30,000 miles, I believe. It had high 29s when I got it, so a little bit, not a ton. But I have spent enough time in the seat to kind of give my impressions of it. And this is the first C300 I've ever owned. The only other Mercedes I had was a C43 Coupe, which I loved, by the way. But it is a bit different. Some would say, and I would agree, that this is a step down from the C43. Of course it is. It's a 300. Now, as far as comparing it, and I'll do that just a little bit, to the C43, well, the C43 was a coupe, bigger, heavier doors, not quite as much room in the back. I would say a heck of a lot less room in the back. Much more difficult to get in and out of if you have anybody in the back. For me, I wasn't hauling anybody back there, so it didn't really matter. Power-wise, I'm really pleasantly surprised. The C300, this one anyway, does have a decent amount of power. Now, it's not going to win you any drag races or anything, if you're into that kind of thing. But it'll get you off the line pretty quick, and you can get from stoplight to stoplight or mall to mall much quicker than a lot of the cars that are out there these days. As far as the ride, that's the biggest thing with a Mercedes, I think. It's the thing that I noticed about the C43 right away, and it's the same thing that I've noticed about the C300. It's luxury, man. It is smooth. It feels like you're gliding along. Very similar to the Audi A4. I've had a couple of Audi A4s, and I have to say, those were like gliding. They were like riding on air. Now, I wouldn't say that the C300 is exactly like that, but it's pretty darn close. By that I mean the A4s did have just a little bit smoother ride quality than the C300, but not horrible. As far as the luxury of it, that's why you buy a Mercedes, right? At least a lot of people. For me, I bought a Mercedes for many reasons. The biggest probably is because I love the looks of it, particularly the C300 and the C43 version, just as well as some of the other trim lines. But the luxury of it, it has everything in here, and everything is first class, from the touch of everything inside, the look of it. This particular one has the tan interior, which is just an upper level look, I think. Now, I will say, I'm not overly happy with the tan interior, only because it's difficult to keep clean. I took it in, I think it was to have some lug nuts put on not too long ago. And when I did that, I noticed, of course, the guys working on it, they're working in a shop, so they're going to be dirty, right? And sure enough, on the seat, after the guy got out, I noticed just a little bit of gray, if you will, a little bit of dirt on the seat. Just wipes right off. It's not a big deal, but it's just one of those things that, yeah, it is just a little bit more difficult to take care of, particularly if you have a job where you get dirty, or maybe you're working out in the yard, you decide to jump into the C300, run off to the Wendy's and pick up a sandwich or something. Yeah, you're going to see it inside. That's really my only dig on the car, and that is not really a fault of the car. I picked one that had this interior, knowing how difficult it is to keep this kind of an interior clean. I would highly recommend going with something darker, even if you go with a brown or more of a tan leather, something like that. It's going to be much easier to keep clean than this stuff. As far as the reliability, I mentioned I've had it for a little while. I haven't put tons of miles on it, but from a reliability standpoint, I mean, I bought it used, and it had, as I mentioned, 29,000 some odd miles on it. So you would expect if it had reliability problems, they would start to show their ugly faces now, right? And I'm talking about things that don't work right, maybe some lights on the dash, stuff like that. And I am very happy to say there have been no issues at all with this car. It's been spot on perfect. The only other ding, other than my little problem with the light interior I would give it, is that there are some chips and scratches and things like that in the paint, but it had 29,000 some odd miles on it. So of course, it's been driven, it's been in the elements, and it's going to have little chips and dings and things like that. Nothing too horrible, nothing that I would say is beyond normal. Now, I will give you one little piece of advice, I suppose. You know, repairs and fixes and things on the Mercedes or any higher end nameplate is expensive. And I would make sure, if you're buying a used Mercedes, to make sure that you get one that's got as much leftover warranty or as much remaining warranty as you can possibly get. You know, I mentioned this is a 2020. Mercedes has a 4-year warranty, so the warranty won't expire on this until 2024. So I have another year and a half, 2 years, whatever the exact date is, before I would have to worry about any kind of repairs on this on my pocket. So that's one big thing I would make sure that you do. You know, Mercedes doesn't have the biggest or the best reliability reputation, so protect yourself. If you're getting one used, make sure you've got some warranty left on it. Other than that, the only other thing I'm going to mention, I did change the tires out. I went from 18s to 19s because I wanted different wheels, which, by the way, I love on this car. And I've gotten a lot of compliments on the channel regarding those wheels as well, so I know it's just not me and my personal bias, but they do provide for a little bit harsher ride, a little bit harder ride, firmer ride, and there is a little bit more sound out of them. Just something to be aware of if you've got a Mercedes and you're thinking about doing that, or any other vehicle. When you start reducing that tread wall, you're going to have a stiffer, firmer ride than you had before. Anyway, I just wanted to get on, let you guys know what I think so far. I love it. I think it's an awesome car. I'm very happy with it. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. Leave a comment. Let me know. If you've got a Mercedes or really any other luxury car out there, have you been happy with it, or has it been disappointing? I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about the Toyota Tacoma, and Rob Motive JT, all about the Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? And while you're at it, smash the subscribe button here too. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.